Hey there. Oh, and here comes Ollie. Come on in, buddy. Come on. There's my Ollie boy. You're coming just in time for another chapter of The Gentle Art of Tramping. So let's break this down so Ollie can join us, kind of. There you go, Ollie the dog. He's been hanging out with me all day. Now that I work from home, pretty much sit here all day long, and he keeps me company. He either sits there or he sits at my feet, and I've set up his little kennel thing right there beside me. The camera doesn't fall out, so he can go in there. He's a good companion. And the other dog, Rudy, hangs out with my daughter because she's home all day too. Because she's in her bedroom over there. Yeah, so she's got the little white dog and I've got the little black dog. Yumiko, my wife, is still going to work. She works in the restaurant industry, which is still operating at the headquarters for a national chain. And so she's still going in, but there's next to nobody there. They've got the social distancing worked out pretty well. And a lot of the staff can telecommute. Anyway, the gentle art of tramping. Let's carry on with the next chapter, which is clothes. Here we go. Attire. Kneading knife grinders, said the poet. Your hat has got a hole in it, and so have your breeches. Kneading knife grinders. Sometimes I have a hard time understanding these things. Why this is just not, it doesn't make any sense to me. Kneading knife grinder, said the poet. Your hat has got a hole in it, and so have your breeches. That was not necessary. You should carry a housemaid's tidy, or whatever it may be called, the tiny compendium of needles and thread, sometimes offered upon hotel dressing tables, and sew up the holes. Oh, I see. So the poet is calling out the holes in the clothes, and the author here, Stephen Graham, is suggesting carrying a toolkit when you're tramping that you can patch it up. I fear the knife grinder's hat. What the heck is a knife grinder? Like a sharpener? Somebody that sharpens knives? I fear the knife grinder's hat was of felt. Let's see. Kneading knife grinder, your hat has got holes in it. Let's see if we can find that. Maybe that's a quote from something. Kneading knife grinder, your hat has got holes in it. The Friend of Humanity and the Knife Grinder. There it is. It's a poem called The Friend of Humanity and the Knife Grinder by George Canning, 1797. Here we go. I won't read the whole thing. As is typical of old poems like this, it's not too long. Let's give it a try. Kneading knife grinder, whither are you going? Rough is the road, your wheel is out of order. Bleak blows the blast, your hat has got a hole in it. So have your breeches. Weary knife grinder, little think the proud ones, who in their coaches roll along the turnpike road, what hard work 'tis crying all day, knives and scissors to grind, oh! Tell me, knife grinder, how you came to grind knives. Did some rich man tyrannically use you? Was it the squire or parson of the parish, or the attorney? Was it the squire for the killing of his game, or covetous parson for the tithes distraining? Or roughish lawyer made you lose your little all in a lawsuit? Have you not read The Rights of Man by Tom Paine? Drops of compassion tremble on my eyelids, ready to fall as soon as you have told your pitiful story. Knife grinder. Story, God bless you, I have none to tell. Oh, so this is the knife grinder responding. Story, God bless you, I have none to tell, sir. Only last night, drinking at Chequers, this poor old hat and breeches, as you see, were torn in a scuffle. Constables came up for me to constables came up for to take me into custody. They took me before the justice. Justice old Mixon put me in the parish, stocks for a vagrant. I should be glad to drink your honour's health in a pot of beer, if you will give me 6 pence. But for my part, I never love to meddle with politics, sir. Friend of Humanity responding back. I give thee 6 pence. I will see thee damned first. Wretch, whom no sense of wrongs can rouse to vengeance, sordid, unfeeling, reprobate, degraded, spiritless outcast, kicks the knife grinder, overturns his wheel, and exits in a transport of Republican enthusiasm and universal philanthropy. So that's the source of the quote. There, it's kind of fun. It's like picking up a rock and finding something really fascinating under it that leads to something more fascinating still. Here, let's start that over again. Clothes, attire. Needy knife grinder, said the poet. Your hat has got a hole in it, and so have your breeches. Now it all makes sense. That was not necessary. You should carry a housemaid's tidy, or whatever it may be called, the tiny compendium of needles and thread, sometimes offered upon hotel dressing tables, and sew up the holes. I fear the knife grinder's hat was of felt, of a broken billycock hat, but we tramps have nothing to do with felt hats. The bowlers and the derbies and the trilbies are not our style. There was a time when men tramped in shovel hats. What the hell is a shovel hat? Let's see. Shovel hat. There we go. So these are shovel hats. Let me turn this camera around. Interesting. I guess that's it right there. There was a time when men tramped in shovel hats, and I can see Parson Adams trudging along, his lank locks crowned with this lugubrious headgear. And Abraham Lincoln walked abroad in his rusty topper. But we have changed all that. We tramp in tweed hats or caps, or without hats at all. We do not feel superior, but we know we are more comfortable. What exactly does a tweed hat look like, I wonder? Tweed hat. Oh, right. Yeah, this is definitely the kind of hat that we would have seen people wear, back in the 20s and stuff like that. Huh. That would be very nice for tramping, I would think. Right, Ollie? Tweed hat. I don't think I could pull that off, though. Also, we no longer wear cravats. What the heck is that? It's fun learning so much. Cravat. Does that have an E at the end? What? Why would anybody wear these things when you're tramping? It's like something that a butler or something, or like some dandy would wear. Also, we no longer wear cravats. In fact, a collar and tie may be secreted in a pocket of the knapsack, to be unwillingly put on when it is necessary to visit a post office or a bank, a priest or the police. But otherwise, we go forth with free necks and throats, top button of shirt preferably undone. So interesting. Imagine that you would keep a tie when you're out tramping. Keep a tie in your backpack just in case you have to go to a bank, see a priest or the police. I would never contemplate keeping a tie in my bag, my tramping bag. Ooh, the rain's really coming down now. And we do not tramp in spats or gaiters, nor in fancy waistcoats. The waistcoat is an article of attire which can be cheerfully eliminated as entirely unwanted. Yeah, I guess so. Undervests also are rather de trop. There are many things a man can shed. I am not qualified to say what a woman can do without, but she needs no hat with feathers, no hat pin. As I think of her in the wilderness, it seems to me she can get rid of everything she commonly wears, with the exception perhaps of a hairnet, and then dress herself afresh in rational attire. Interesting to mention that. Take a woman with her normal appearance, strip it all down to just the hairnet. That's quite an alluring image, and then add back just the rational attire. I think I'd rather like a woman with rational attire. The green and brown misses in the lovely garnish of boys, in the quotation marks, in the lovely garnish of boys, are now so familiar in the United States that it is almost superfluous to describe them. A khaki blouse, so I guess that's women wearing men's outfits. A khaki blouse and knickers, green puttees or stockings, and a stout pair of shoes are almost everything. Very simple, very practical, and if one must think of looks while on tramp, not unbecoming. And remember, this author, Stephen Graham, is an Englishman, so it's interesting that he speaks so much of Americans. He must have spent a lot of time here. Materials are more important than shapes. A homespun, a tweed, a cord are better than flannel or serge or shoddy cloth. Tramping is destructive of material. Sun, rain, campfire, sparks, and hot smoke seem to reduce the resistance of cloth very rapidly. After a month, a sort of dry rot will show itself, and as you go through the wool, every rotten stick or tiny thorn you happen to touch will tear a tatter in your trousers. It can be annoying and amusing. When I am tired of looking at the view, I look at your trousers, said Lindsay to me in the Rockies. He in the virtuous superiority of green corduroy, I in old clothes which I thought I might as well wear out on tramp. Out on tramp, I like that idea. I certainly wore them out. In fact, we had to turn from the wilds toward civilization, and the poet brought me a ready-to-wear pair of cowboy's bags. But workman's trousers, suspended by workman's braces, are the best. Braces, I guess braces are suspenders? Braces marked for policemen and firemen are sold in the United States. They are undoubtedly stout and will stand the strain of many jumps. You will have a cozy feeling of nothing defective in your straps, a feeling akin to that of a good conscience, much to be desired, a feeling akin to that of a good conscience. You know, that's just the kind of thing you just don't get. That kind of great comment. A feeling akin to feeling a good conscience. What remains? That's worth marking. Feeling akin to that of a good conscience. What remains? A jacket. It may well be a tweed one, with half a dozen roomy pockets. I once saw a character reader at a fair who said, "Show me your hat and I will tell you who you are." He had plenty to guide him. I gave him mine. He said, "You, sir, are a thinker. Your thoughts have been oozing out of your head and have spoilt an excellent lining." He held my cap up to the crowd. "This is the hat," said he, "of a man who buys at the best shop, but wears his hat a very long while. He is both proud and economical, and is probably a Scotsman." Had I taken off my jacket, he could probably have told me a good deal more, made bulgy with books, yet pinched by the clips of fountain pens, ink-stained, wine-stained, sun-bleached and rain-washed, fretted by campfire sparks, frayed and yet not torn by envious thorns. The whole well stretched, well slept in, well tramped in. Other parts of one's attire wear out, come and go, but the jacket remains. granted a good, sound, indestructible jacket. You just can't, I mean, I don't know, maybe you can. I just can't get better than that. There's nothing on TV that meets that last paragraph, that can rise to the quality of that writing. Such a jacket is warm wear. No, not in the morning, not for some hours after sunrise, not in the evening, not during the twilight hours, during the heat of the day. If you wish to take it off, if you wish, you can take it off. And wait a minute. Such a jacket is warm wear, not in the morning, not for some hours after sunrise, nor in the evening, not during the twilight hours, during the heat of the day. If you wish to take it off and, tying it into a neat bundle, fix it to the knapsack, it is pleasant to have the air break fresh on one's perspiring chest. But the warm jacket is your friend, and after 2 days out of home, you understand it. The stout jacket stands by you in the hours when you need support. You soon get used to its weight, and its thickness helps to bed the knapsack between the shoulders. I never thought of a jacket like that. It's quite right. Carlyle wrote a book on clothes, the inwardness of which was that man, the straggling bifurcate animal discovered in Eden, that he was really ugly and ashamed to be seen. I don't know that word. Bifurcate. I've heard it, bifurcate. I've probably looked it up. I just can't remember what it means. Bifurcate. Divide into two branches or forks. Why do I think I've encountered that in the Bible? Did it just say that here? Try that again. Such a jacket, sometimes these paragraphs are worth going back. You know, it's like you take a first glance, it's like flying a plane over the landscape. Hey, that looks interesting down there. You want to zip around and come back again. Such a jacket is warm, but I struggle to read this. This reading does not come natural or easy to me. This particular way this author writes. Such a jacket is warm wear. No, not in the morning, not for some hours after sunrise, not in the evening, not during the twilight hours, during the heat of the day. If you wish, you can take it off and, tying it into a neat bundle, fix it to the knapsack. It is pleasant to have the air break fresh on one's perspiring chest. But the warm jacket is your friend, and after 2 days out of home, you understand it. The stout jacket stands by you in the hours when you need support. You soon get used to its weight, and its thickness helps to bed the knapsack between the shoulders. Good. Carlyle wrote a book on clothes, the inwardness of which was that man, the straggling bifurcate animal, discovered in Eden that he was really ugly and ashamed to be seen, and he has been trying to hide himself ever since in fig leaves and phrases. Phylacteries. What the heck is that? What is a phylactery? So yeah, no, I think I got the Bible thing because he talked at Eden. Phylacte. There it is. How do you pronounce that? Let's turn up the volume a little. Not talking. Phylactery. Phylactery. A small leather box. Oh yes, the little box that Jewish men wear on their foreheads and around their body that has a bit of scripture on it. Annie Dillard talked about those in the book I just finished, Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. Carlyle wrote a book on clothes, the inwardness of which was that man, the straggling bifurcate animal discovered in Eden, that he was really ugly and ashamed to be seen, and he has been trying to hide himself ever since in fig leaves and phrases, phylacteries, and philosophies. That's powerful. So within the clothes is the man. struggling by factory, the two parts, pure and ugly and shameful, the fall in Eden. And he's been trying to hide himself ever since in fig leaves and phrases. Fig leaves and phrases. What? That's beautiful. In fig leaves and phrases, phylacteries and philosophies. I really missed my time. I really wish I'd been born 100 years back or more. But probably if I was just born randomly into anywhere, I wouldn't have gotten an education, or not a very good one, and probably would miss out on all this anyway. That show, I'm going to read that one more time. Carlyle, because it's just so delicious. Carlyle wrote a book on clothes. It's like being able to sip the same wine twice. You can go back and enjoy it again. It's like listening to a song again. Carlyle wrote a book on clothes, the inwardness of which was that man, the struggling bifurcate animal, discovered in Eden that he was really ugly and ashamed to be seen. And he has been trying to hide himself ever since, in fig leaves and phrases, phylacteries and philosophies. That shall provide the tramp's motto, a fig leaf and a phrase. But oh, Sartor, oh, Mr. Mallarby, a stout fig leaf. That is beautiful. The tramp's motto, a fig leaf and a phrase. Does that come from some literature? Let's look it up. Fig leaf and a phrase. What is the meaning of the popular idiom, fig leaf? The fig leaf is used as a figure of speech, or an idiom means something that is used to cover up. Oh yeah, well that's obvious. Well, I think he just made up this fig leaf and phrase on his own. The window's a little cold. Let's close that. How you doing, little guy? Let's close the window. Boy, I'm starting to warm to this book. It's taken me a little bit of time to find myself here, but I'm starting to like it a lot. Let's carry on. Have another sip. Motley. So he's kind of divided up this chapter into these sections, the motley section. Let's see what that is. Invest me in my motley. Give me leave to speak my mind. Motley's the only wear. Now that's in quotes. Let's see where that goes, shall we? He doesn't cite the author of that. Invest me in my motley. No, it's bringing up for the motley fool. That's not it. Invest me in my motley. Give me leave to speak my mind. Motley's the only wear. Is it Shakespeare? Yes, me. Shakespeare. From what book is this? I don't know what book this is. Invest me in my motley. Give me leave to speak my mind, and I will through and through cleanse the foul body of thy infected world, if they will patiently receive my medicine. What is that? As you like it. So beautiful. So quoting Shakespeare. Invest me in my motley, give me leave to speak my mind. Motley's the only wear. The privilege of the court fool is that he can tell plain. Well, what does motley mean? Is it the clothes that the fool wears, the court jester wears, that outfit, that ridiculous outfit? Motley, yeah. Motley is the traditional costume of the court jester, fool, or the harlequin character in Comédie de l'Art. The harlequin wears a patchwork of red, green, and blue diamonds that is still a fashion motif. There you go. So I guess he's talking about the actual wear of the tramp. Invest me in my motley. Give me leave to speak my mind. Motley's the only wear. The privilege of the court fool is that he can tell the plain, ordinary truth to the king, even with the executioner standing by, axe in hand, and risk not his head. But he must be wearing his cap and bells. Let him come but dressed as a courtier, and make the same painful jest, and the headsman will step forth to relieve him of his poor quality thinking piece. The Greek who was employed to tell his Alexander after each glorious triumph that he too must die, must have worn some shred of motley. Whoa! I wonder. Now that's interesting. I wonder if that was true. Did Greek do that? Because that harkens to Alexander, the story of Alexander the Great, and his interest in the Stoics, namely Diogenes the dog. Let's see. Did Alexander the Great have someone remind him that he must die? The Persian boy. I thought his screams had been he would have toiled. It's not jumping out. I wouldn't surprise me, because that's something that the Stoics did, was constantly reminding themselves of their death. That's why that's my second that's my first objective. Be always ready to die, that I talked about yesterday. The Greek who was employed to tell his Alexander after each glorious triumph that he too must die, must have worn some shred of motley. So you wear the motley, gives you license to freely open your mouth. You cannot say that sort of thing without the dress which liberates. It was the same with Diogenes. There it is. I even mentioned, there's Diogenes. So there is the connection. It was the same with Diogenes. He got in so many home truths in an intolerant age because he lived in a tub. That tub was his motley. Our tramping gear is ours. Suddenly this book is getting really, really heavy. That's right, Diogenes totally, balked at conventional customs, living as a dog, living in a tub, defecating in the streets, masturbating in the streets even. He totally removed himself from all of this and was therefore able to be a critic of it. There are clothes which rob you of your liberty, and other clothes which give it you again. In the sinister garb called mourning dress, you are a close prisoner of civilization. But in the tramp's mourning dress, you do not need to mind your step. Oh, the difference between one who has worn silk in the temple and the same man lying in a cave in smoke-scented tweeds. Whoa. I read it wrong. Oh, the difference between one who has worn silk in the temple and the same man lying in a cave in smoke-scented tweeds. Of course, it takes some time to break him down. He is still wearing a shadow topper and an invisible cutaway coat weeks after he has started into the wilds. The same with the lady of fashion. She puts a hat over the glory of her hair to hide the primitive Eve. She will be still thinking of this false headgear long after she has changed into a forest nymph. So something we change, we put on the outerwear of our society and then transition into something else and become something else. I want to read this paragraph again. And I think every time I read it, it comes easier. There are clothes which rob you of your liberty, and other clothes which give it you again. In the sinister garb called morning dress, you are a close prisoner of civilization. But in the tramp's morning dress, you do not need to mind your step. So in your conventional wear, you're a close prisoner of civilization. You're trapped by civilization. But in the tramp's morning dress, you do not need to mind your step. I would argue that is quite true. That's especially true. Yeah, when I come back from the desert, all beat up and just looking terrible, I'm less concerned about convention. The difference between one who has worn silk in the temple and the same man lying in a cave in smoke-scented tweeds. Wow, I get it. Of course, it takes some time to break him down. He is still wearing a shadow topper and an invisible cutaway coat weeks after he started into the wilds, so he's still got the shadow of that old self following him in. The same with the lady of fashion. She puts a hat over the glory of her hair to hide the primitive Eve. She will be still thinking of this false headgear long after she has changed into a forest nymph. This paragraph is closing in on being as good as Thoreau. Motley has a double advantage not used by Shakespeare in his admirable clownings. It not only perhaps enables a man to jest shrewdly with the prince, it enables a prince, if he will put it on, to talk freely with an ordinary poor man. The cat can look at the king, and the king can look at the cat. Class is the most distinguishing institution of civilization because it puts barriers between man and man. The man from the first-class cabin cannot make himself at home in the steerage. He can have conversations with his fellow man down there, but fellow man will be standing to attention like private in presence of officer, or standing defiant like prisoner in presence of a condemnatory court. It is not the fault of the bottom dog, the proletarian. He scents a manner. Your bearing cannot be adjusted to equality. You are not on the level with him. You cannot rid your voice of its kind note. Damn it! Don't be kind to me, say the eyes of the third-class passenger, but you cannot get rid of that absurd, unwanted, kind look, that "tell me, my dear man" expression. This really would have to almost be someone from that time to really know that. It's alien to me. Here's a little poem. How are you, aged man? I said. And how is it you live? How is it you live? But his answer trickled through my brain like water through a sieve. Let me read that again. How are you, aged man? I said. And how is it you live? But his answer trickled through my brain like water through a sieve. How is it, old man? How is it you live? Gives back the answer, and it just filters through the brain. I don't get it, but I like it. Yes, whatever he replies will seem a little bit irrelevant, like the answers to the visiting rector going the round of his parish. He having the next drag hunt on his mind. I get it, I think. But in the tramp's motley, you can say what you like, ask what questions you like, free from the taint of class. It also puts you right with regard to yourself. You see yourself as others see you, and that is refreshing grace, wafted in upon an opinionated mind. The freedom of speech and action and judgment which it gives you will breed that boldness of bearing which, after all, is better than mere good manners. It allows you to walk on your heels as well as on your toes, and to eat without a finicking assortment of forks. It aids your digestion of truth and of food, and aids nutrition as good air does good porridge. All that highfalutin advice which Kipling wrote in If may be left in its glum, red, lustering lettering pasted on your bedroom wall, if you will only put on your tramp's motley. Sorry, I got to read that again. There's something about this paragraph. I don't get it yet. I'm going to read the poem too. How are you, aged man? I said. And how is it you live? But his answer trickled through my brain like water through a sieve. Yes, whatever he replies will seem a bit irrelevant, like the answers to the visiting rector going the round of his parish, he having the next drag hunt on his mind. So I get it, I guess, of the rector parish going around doing his obligatory visits, but he's thinking about something that he likes to do, whatever the heck a drag hunt is. What is a drag hunt? All I'm thinking about is RuPaul's Drag Race. Drag hunt. So the parish has that on his mind. He's going around seeing everybody. Fox hunting. You know, with the horses and the guys in the red suits and stuff like that. Yes, whatever he replies will seem a little bit irrelevant, like the answers to the visiting rector going the round of his parish, he having the next drag hunt on his mind. So the rector is going around, yes, it's good to talk to you all, and how have you been? And they're blah, 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 blah. It sounds like the Peanuts, Charlie Brown, it doesn't mean anything. But in the tramp's motley, you can say what you like, ask what questions you like, free from the taint of class. It also puts you right with regard to yourself. You see yourself as others see you. And that is a refreshing grace, wafted in upon an opinionated mind. You see yourself as others see you, and that is a refreshing grace, wafted in upon an opinionated mind. The freedom of speech and action and judgment which it gives you will breed that boldness of bearing which, after all, is better than mere good manners. Thoreau would say the same thing. Emerson would say that too. It allows you to walk on your heels as well as on your toes, and to eat without a finicking assortment of forks. It aids your digestion of truth and the food and aids of food. Talking about wearing the motley clothes. It allows you to walk on your heels as well as on your toes, and to eat without a finicking assortment of foods. It aids your digestion of truth and of food, and aids nutrition as good air does good porridge. All that highfalutin advice which Kipling wrote in If may be left in its glum red lettering pasted on your bedroom wall, if you will only put on your tramp's motley. So put on the tramp's motley, your trekking outfit, and all of those conventions, all of those requirements and obligations fall aside. And you can live a more genuine self. I like it. Last paragraph. What must I do to inherit eternal life? That is the question that the young man asked Jesus in the book of Matthew, I believe. Let's see. What must I do to inherit eternal life? And I know what Jesus' answer was. His answer was, follow the commandments. Let's see what it says. Here it is. Luke 18:18. A certain ruler asked him, Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Why do you call me good? Jesus answered. No one is good except God alone. You know the commandments. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not murder. You shall not steal. There you go. So it's the commandments. So a nice Bible reference there. What must I do to, and I love the way this quite well-read author constantly is hearkening back to these things. What must I do to inherit? It's like sharing treasure across the decades. A dead man, long gone, sharing the treasure of the found bits of wonder in his mind through his own reading. What must I do to inherit eternal life? The answer to that question is not adequately stated in that if of talking to mobs without losing your virtue, and to kings without losing the common touch, or in the if of making a heap of all your right winnings and staking them in a game of pitch and toss. The answer of the evangel is, take up the cross and follow me, which may be interpreted indulgently for our purpose here. Take up thy staff and the common burden of for thy shoulders, the motley of the pilgrim and the tramp. Beautiful, simply beautiful. This chapter is complete. Now I'm going to read another little bit of, before I do that, let's see if there's any comments. I don't think there are. No. Let's read another objective number 2 from the Good Life. I really need there it is. Okay, objective number 2. Make good use of time and resources. To make good use of these few moments right now, and to dwell very little on past utilization. No, I'm reading that wrong. It is my own book. Make good use of time and resources. To make good use of these few moments right now, and to dwell very little on past utilization, other than to use such memory to inform my judgment in the direction of improved forward progress. To also make good use of whatever resources are at my disposal, not just for increase, but to spend, share, give, or apply these resources well, and in ways which are in accord with my life objectives and principles. Below are examples of some of the things I'd like to be caught doing when death comes at last to utterly snuff out my light. Breathing slow and measured breaths. And there's a list, see? Breathing slow and measured breaths. Controlling my emotions. Thinking deliberately. Acting deliberately. Remembering and acting upon my responsibilities. Preparing a good meal. Eating well and very little. Helping others. Being attentive to my family. Doing a good job. Providing good value to my employer. Learning something startlingly new. Reading an excellent book. Memorizing poetry which moves me. Studying history. Imagining the future. Enjoying good music. Listening to a good lecture, discussion, or debate. Challenging what I believe. Changing my mind for good reason. Admitting that I was wrong. Apologizing when necessary. Becoming uncomfortable. Withstanding discomfort. Suffering well and longer than I thought I could. Standing, walking, swimming, or simply moving. Making a pet happy. Picking up litter. Recording and sharing my own thoughts. Accurately recounting the idea of another. Sleeping deeply. Discovering I'm wrong. And remembering death. These are all examples of good and effective use of time from my book, Going Alone. And with that, I will stop. I think I saw a comment. I love your videos of abandoned places in Japan. Tolemics. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun making those videos. And I appreciate the fact that you've taken some time to watch some of them. And with that, 44 minutes in, I'm going to go ahead and stop. It's 9:59. It's my bedtime. Got another good day of work ahead. I'd like to wish you all well. And remember to be safe, but not too safe. Take care. Bye-bye.